What's up, everybody? Welcome back to ERABODY'S podcast. I'm your boy, Ricky.
And I'm the Honorable Darren D. Purnell, the street speaker himself. What's going on, Rick?
Oh, man, we got a lot going on.
Oh, man,
Specifically, this one right here is for all parents who have young people, but confused about the resources that's out there. Joining us today will be Ken James.
A great brother.
Great brother.
An anchor for the neighborhood.
Yeah, he's out working. Not only working, he's on the front line, making sure that our young people have resources to mental health support, life skills training, and then ultimately job placement and job opportunities. So if you know a young person, whether you're a parent, grandmother, or just a supervisor over a young person, this is the episode for you. So what's going on, D?
Man, they got a lot going on in the world. If it's not one other, Rick is the other. When this story came across the news feed, I had to sit back and look, and I said, man, I have been on both sides. I have seen it both sides. I'm pretty sure you up on it right now. The young lady at McDonald's kills her supervisor. And I'm not twisted in the story because killing a young lady that have 6 kids is wrong. 6 kids, a parent of 6 is wrong. But I went back and watched the young lady news feed. She was on social media saying she kept sending me home. She said that she was sending us home. She talked to you like she a child. And I have been in situations where you have worked with people and their position, they take it too serious.
They abuse their authority.
They abuse their authority.
Yeah.
And the young lady even flashed a knife. I don't know if that's the exact same knife, but on her Instagram, she was in her uniform. This is an old post. She put the knife out, and she said, I ain't going to take it out. That won't be right.
Yeah.
And on her page, she was like wearing red hair, putting on devil clothes.
Yeah, I seen it, but also it just shows signs of like she was mentally disabled in some type of capacity. She wasn't all the way there, you know?
Yeah.
However, like I worked in McDonald's too. You know, that was one of the first jobs I ever had at 13, 14 years old.
Right.
And I understand the environment. It is a fast-paced environment.
Right.
You know, people do mess up. But there also is a lot of bullying that go on in that arena, in that space.
Right.
You know, people only be trying to come really to make their money. And I'm not taking up for the young lady.
Right.
But I do want both sides to be understood.
Right.
Not everybody have the same mindset when it comes to being bullied or feeling like they being betrayed or anything in that manner, right?
Right.
So she reacted.
And she left out, and I think it's premeditated murder. I think when you leave out, she left out, came back 5 minutes later. So I guess premeditated mean you went.
Yeah, I mean, but also you're right. Like it's totally wrong just taking a life. Like you say, the lady had 6 children that she had to take care of.
Right.
But the young lady was telling stories about how the mother said she came there and she had to pull a gun out on
her kids. Yeah.
Like, it's certain stories like that make people feel intimidated. Like, What are you trying to scare me?
Right. And then, like I said, it's one of those things that it make you don't know whose side to take. I would like to get more details about this story.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and the crew that was there, how did they feel about this particular manager? Now, losing a life is
detrimental.
It's hurtful to her family. But I would like to see, did she have any HR calls that came in to say how she was treating her crew or whatever? Not taking away our prayers, definitely go out for the family and 6 kids or whatever. But when you're in any positions on these jobs, you have to be very careful. You're at a job that's given a position. Some of this, I have seen supervisors overstep their boundaries.
Yeah, they be power tripping.
Yeah.
The titles just go to their head and they start misusing people.
Yes, and you see it a lot. And this goes into the next story that we have.
Yeah, what we got?
Imagine you run across your coworker, y'all work together, and you hand him a cigarette. Not only are you white and he black, which police officers always suspicious about that, but you hand him a cigarette. And in Michigan, the black co-worker hand the white co-worker a cigarette. The police, off-duty officer, sees them in a transaction, call for backup, and say he's seen a drug transaction. They tears this man truck up apart. You can hit him on a body cam and a dash cam saying we ain't find nothing. But when they get to the jailhouse, all of a sudden they got meth and they got cocaine. Yeah. But on a body cam, you could hear them saying they don't have nothing.
They gonna pay for it. That's just another form of injustice, you know. But the good thing now, they're required to have those body cams rolling and them dash cams on too. So that audio will be used against you in a court of law.
And you know what? A lot of officers don't like to say they are wrong.
Yeah.
They don't like to say they're wrong.
Yeah.
And when you don't want to say, admit you're wrong, some of the things that happen is he could have said, which he wasn't even on duty. Mm-hmm. It was an off-duty officer called in some backup. And when they didn't find nothing, they could say, man, he must have missed on saw.
Yeah.
But they went through the restraint.
The whole thing.
Tore the man truck up.
Yeah.
Pulled them out of the car, handcuffed him, took him in and everything. And it's one of those things that's unfortunately that, once again, power tripping.
Yeah, authority.
Yeah, man.
Like when people have authority, they really lose sense of humanity. Yeah. You know, like that's just.
And I tell me if you think this. I think some people become the police officers only so they can come tell cool kid stuff.
Yeah.
They was in high school. The cool kid got everything his way, and I need some authority to go tell him something.
Most likely.
You see a police say stuff like, "This is how I know when they wasn't a cool kid and they on a power trip." You have a Mercedes Benz. How you only have on liability insurance?
Right.
What that got to do with you pulling me over?
Right.
So they say stuff like that, and that let me know you just an officer on a power trip. You're not really on doing your job.
And we see that a lot, D. Like we see that a lot, especially in that field, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. They say the wimpy kid turned to something that he had more power over people.
Oh yes,
right?
And when they get them police officer jobs, man, they just take it out of hand, bro. They think that's all the power they gonna have.
Yeah. That's all the power they need.
Yeah. And the crazy part about it, when they go to the high school, they're still in the same situation.
Yeah.
The girl's still looking over them. So this last thing, man, this is so hurtful, man. This is a story in Houston, Texas, where James and Tiffany, the mother of a 7-year-old kid, killed their child, drowned him in a washing machine.
Yeah.
So you look at this situation and you say to yourself, like, man, and when you read some of the text messages they went back and read on, they say he stole some candy.
Yeah, a honey bun.
Honey bun, and he wrote, "I'm gonna kill his little boy.
Yeah.
When you come home, you gonna catch him." When my mom was saying that, she was saying, "I'm gonna bust his ass. I'm gonna kill him when I get home."
Right.
She wasn't talking about killing me.
Yeah.
He gonna
figuratively speaking.
Yeah, he gonna think he was dead for touching my stuff.
Yeah.
But to kill him.
Yeah, but that was his biological father, right?
Yeah, and his
stepmother.
Man, I tell you, man.
That's what makes it. You know, like that also gives a bad sense of the black man, right? And for I feel like in today's time, black men are stepping up. You know, black men love their children.
Yes.
You know, and he looked like, you know, around our age. He's 35 years old. You would think that he'd have a better sense of love or care for his child. And especially with him being, you know, not in the house with his mother, but he egging the stuff on too.
What you hear me say this all the time. When a man find a wife, he find a good thing. Yeah. There's no way with a queen, the protector of them all, unless something like that happened.
Yeah.
She was in a text message talking about something. I can't stay in the house with him. My child can't stay in a house that I have? No, if anybody got to go, the door's there. But like I said, I come from that old time. Nobody coming over my children, but that's the way it is, man. And it's sad to see a 7-year-old child lose his life over honey bun. And they say all together what they was accusing him of, like $7 worth of snacks.
Come on, bro.
Not even including tax. And I think, man, it's so sad, man. Yeah. And another thing about Texas, Louisiana and Texas, especially after Hurricane Katrina, we have become like brothers and sisters, family. The devastation out there with the storm out there with you guys, our hearts go out to you. We're praying. And if you guys want to reach out, if you feeling like You inbox us, we'll help you get your word out. If you feel as though like something not being said, but our prayers definitely going out to Texas for the storm, man.
Definitely.
We love y'all, and if you need anything from us, just reach out to us.
Definitely. And we are back with my guy Ken James.
Yes.
Man, I met this guy, and it's something about me when I meet people. I'm always out there working, and I met him. We was at a community meeting, and I said, man, I gotta connect with this guy. And when I looked into your background, first, just tell us something about you. Tell us about yourself. Tell the people about you.
Wow. How long is this segment? No, my name is Ken James, and I work in the Job Corps system, which of course it started off as a trade system for underprivileged young people to get trades, and this was back in 1964 before you absolutely had to have a high school diploma to be employed. So it was trade school, and then we added the academic piece a little bit later on. My roots, though, and it's funny how it came together because my roots are in the music business. I was on the radio for many years. I was in the record business, worked with Sony Music, Universal Music, and a lot of my artists were young then. Nas, Escape, Mariah Carey, we got her when she was 21 years old. Maxwell was really young, and I could go on and on and on with that. So when the music industry started to implode because of free downloading, and the presidents of these companies did not get did not try to look into the future to see that the paradigm had to shift in terms of selling records. And the company started to implode. So the black divisions, I was a vice president in the black divisions, they started there first to make their cuts. And the funny thing about it, well, not the funny thing about it was, I had degrees and I had skills in other areas, so I was able to. I actually shifted to education. I graduated from LSU with a broadcast journalism degree, and so I was able to use some of that and start a journalism program at a technical college in Miami, and. So the connection came that I think my purpose was, or my purpose is, to work with young people, and I never connected the two. I was like, and my students would ask me, how did you get from the music industry to dealing with us?
Yeah.
You were dealing with really important people.
Right.
And I would stop them and say, wait a minute, they are no more important than you are. Just because they're famous, that does not mean that they are more important than you are, because they all started there as well. And the same conversations that I would have with a Nas that refused to come to the events that we set up and stuff like that were the same kind of conversations that I had to transition to the young people that I've dealt with dealing in secondary education.
That's an amazing transformation.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really is.
I picked to work with youth, young adults. That's what I picked. That's why when I came to you, it's hard for me to work with kids. Like, I like them when they're at the developmental stage where their mind, I can get to it.
Right.
Teenagers, 13 to 19, that's my core. How do you pick the age group that you good with? Because you got to have patience. I watch my son, he played for the 5 and 6 year old football team. I be want to take my belt off and whoop all the kids' ass. It's just like they don't listen, they hard-headed.
Right.
And I you know what, I can't do it. That's why they keep asking me, man, you want to coach? I'm like, nah, I just walk the track.
Yeah.
So how do you pick and you get that sense of what age bracket is good for you, that sweet spot?
Well, as far as the Job Corps system is concerned, the age range is 16 to 24.
Okay.
Oh, that's good age.
Yeah, that's the 16, 17-year-olds, the minors are a little bit more difficult because they're less mature. But then you have some 17 years olds that are more mature than the 21-year-olds. It just depends. I personally believe that those impressionable years are a little bit younger. When you're talking about literally 11, 12 years old, or even younger than that.
Right.
Because we have to get young people that, let's say 18, 19 years old, that have had no structure in that 18 to 19 years.
Yeah.
So then you bring them into a structured situation with consequences for actions and things like that, and they're not used to that.
Yeah.
So they buck a lot. You know, they buck a lot. But I think that the younger age, the better to actually have that impression. But, you know, you see lives turned around 180 degrees when you're giving them that structure.
Yeah.
I want to ask this question, Rick, before you ask your question. In my mother's house, and it was different. We never washed clothes. She did all the chores. And it's to my mother. And I go by my cousin's house, we like 9. He can wash his clothes, touch or whatever. Do you think responsibility and chores play a role in the development of the child in those years? Because nobody in our house, and then as my mother get older, she started complaining about the trend that she set. Y'all think I'm a maid? And we saying it's not that we think you the maid, but oftentimes you resorted to doing it yourself.
Right.
So you created that. But my cousin was 9. I have a cousin named Emmanuel at 9.
He was
Washing his clothes. We sitting there watching the game, and he was like, I gotta get my clothes done. He ironing his uniform and everything. I felt as though like him and my father or my mama husband he was doing the things that they do.
Right.
And I'm like a child, like, wow, he was cooking for himself. And I'm like, wow.
So when you start cooking for yourself?
Oh man, it took. My mama used to cook. This is how I went. I went to Johnson. We went to Johnson Lockett. I never forget. We should catch the bus at 7:15 in the morning. School got out at 2:30. When we got home, food was made.
Yeah.
That's the type of mom I had. Food was always made. So noodles and all that. I'm talking about he had the skillet cooking eggs and all that. It took me a while. Hot sausage patties. He could make his own sandwich. I wasn't allowed to do it until I was like about 15, so I was behind the 8 ball.
Man, I'm always reference this podcast, bro. If I ever come by your house, I ain't eating, bro. You better have me some handmade sandwiches.
That's my mama. And I used to tell her about that when I see it in youngsters today, and I be like telling them responsibility help grows a child and groom them to me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We always had chores. You know, my mother, I was back in the day when we had to clean baseboards.
Yeah. Oh.
And you can ask young people now what a baseboard is, and they don't know. We had to get on our hands and knees, clean baseboards. We had to dust, vacuum. You know, my sister primarily washed the dishes, but I had to cut the grass and do, you know, more manual stuff. But that really my mother was a great cook, like all mothers in New Orleans. But I would go in the kitchen because I wanted to learn. I didn't know then how that skill was going to work for me as I got older.
Right.
But I can cook now. I can stand toe to toe with anybody.
Yeah,
you know
I feel
what I'm
the
saying?
same. I started at 7, bro. So.
But that independence is so important to know how to do that. I had one of my students to tell me one time that he didn't do women's work, and he called it women's work. And I said, what is women's work? My dad told me I don't have to wash dishes. I don't have to fold clothes. I don't have to wash clothes. I said, well, bro, what's going to happen when you are independent and out on your own and you're living by yourself? No, I'm going to get a woman to come do that. I said, okay, okay, if that's what you think. But that's making you dependent on somebody to be able to do things the skills that you need to have to survive and to live comfortably. You know, so.
All right. Well, I mean, the transition, you know, from being behind the scene within the music, we talked a little bit about that transition. Now, currently today, do you feel like you are equipped enough to deal with these young adolescents in your role at Job Corps?
Yeah, it's a different kind of young people now, man. And I think it has a lot to do kind of with what we're talking about in terms of being prepared, getting the preparation from home. And this is no knock on young parents, but there are a lot of parents that are younger that didn't get those skills from their parents. Right. So it's passed down and becomes generational in terms of what the response is, the respect for elders and authority and structure.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be, well, I know, in fact, you have to be passionate in order to be able to deal with it.
So do you have that passion?
Absolutely. You cannot be, because anybody that's in the educational academic game, we're not getting rich doing that.
Yeah.
You don't get rich doing that. So in order to advance and in order to do what you need to do, you have to be passionate.
Yeah,
there
but
has to be a passion.
It is a non-profit organization, isn't it? Or is it?
It's a more of a government.
Yeah, it's government funded, so it is not a for-profit school.
Okay.
But it's government funded. But that still does not. It's government funded, but it is not necessary. There are contractors that run every center.
Right.
There are contractors that run every center. We go by the federal government's guidelines, but they don't necessarily reach in and run the day by day in the daily program.
Okay.
That's done through a contractor that handles different areas.
Okay, cool.
I asked my mentor, Mr. Ernest Lewis. Shouts out to Mr. Lewis. He's been teaching for over 40 years. I asked him one time, I wasn't a quiet boy, but I was always bad but respectable. I get my paddles and I go sit down. All that talking back, I was never that. So I got my paddle, whatever I got caught doing, and I went and sit down. And I asked him, I said, Mr. Lewis, we much older now. I said, when you see your kids, Mr. Lewis is out the Ninth Ward. He out the Desire Project. He went to George Washington Carver. He lives in the Ninth Ward now. So I asked him, I said, Mr. Lewis, when you see your kids on drugs, on the news for committing a crime, and you talk to them, I said, how did that make you feel? He said, a little part of me died. And then he say, I start to see the ones that listen and got the lesson in that place. He said, now oftentimes it may be 20 to 1. I might get one good story or whatever. So it do that same feeling. I would ask you that when you watch the news.
Yeah, absolutely. And what scares me and what I try to let the young men know, because it's predominantly African American environment, try to let the young men know, look at the images that you see on television, look at the images that you see of your peers. People that look like you, that's all you see is the negatives. The ones that knock people in the heads. I say you don't see any cameras here trying to show you guys that are really trying to get it done. And I have students, in fact, I'm not going to say the young man's name, but there was a shooting. I think it was the second line. It was at the second line last year or something like that. And that was one of my former students. He didn't make it in the program because he just would not conform to any kind of structure. Right. And he was smart. So when I'm looking at the news and they show the picture, man, I sunk down in my seat. I mean, and I had problems with the young man, but I never wished anything bad for him. I just wished the light would come on one day. And I've had students that have died in the process of activities that they were involved in. But you feel like when you're working in a system like that, you are a teacher, a counselor, you're the uncle. You take the place of fathers sometimes. I've had young people to come in that would consider themselves, gangsters and out in the street, and they would come in my office and sit, and I'd sit back and they would start to tell me their stories, and grown men, 19, 20 years old, sitting there crying. It's like, Mr. James, I never had anybody I could talk to that would actually listen to me and give me good advice. Right. And that's a structure that we can talk about that goes back to the dismantling of black households and black families from slavery time. Right. That becomes almost hereditary, or it changes your genetic structure. If a society is held down like that for so long, then the absence of the father and things like that in the homes. That's a whole nother show. Right. But you can see those things manifesting themselves in our young men and young women today.
So that goes to another question I have for you. You say you come from a marketing background, right?
Yeah.
So the narrative that the media is painting, is all against black. We hardly ever see stories about the white community or other races in a community. Do you feel like that plays another significant part in why we don't value ourselves or our capabilities?
Absolutely. And it's been that way for years, for hundreds of years. If you think about it, you dismantle. If you show people, if you don't show people the positives that they can be, if they don't see people like you guys that are doing their things. That's why I was so happy when you came over and visited our young people, because I want them to be able to see a black man that's got, you know, that's got the natural hair look and that looks like you, but that is successful, that is intelligent, that is doing things and moving. Because if you show a person an image of themselves, they begin to believe that that is who they are. And all you see is negative images of our young people on TV. In social media, that's all you see is the negative.
People don't realize how strong marketing and propaganda is. The welfare queen, the black father is not in the home. None of this is true. Black women never led this country in getting welfare. It was always white women.
That's it.
Black people, fathers in the house. When they did the research, the black fathers lead the nation in being at home and being active in their child's life. But when you don't own the media company, when you don't own the story, then somebody else tell a story. And then and I was watching something today. I heard Minister Farrakhan say, he said when they did Minister Society, and I didn't even think about this. On my way coming here, I just watched this. They killed the Asian woman behind the counter. He say, we looking at it in America, but they showing it all over the world. And you wondering why we have problems. When you running into another race, that's the only time they ever seen you. And look how you. Not only did they shoot her, they laughed, they made a table of it, and now you having problems because they put propaganda out there. Look, that's what Americans, black people doing it on whatever. And it'd be the underlying subtle things that we don't catch on to years later. Now you're looking at it like, man.
And you know what? The strange thing about that, I lived in L.A. when I was primarily in the music business. I lived in L.A. in the 90s and worked all that and was, you know, South Central, all the areas. So the images that you saw were Minister Society, Boys in the Hood, and all that. Yes, that kind of stuff was going on to a degree, but there were so many success stories. So what happened was they were showing these films around the world, like you said, and that's the narrative that people started to believe. But there were people right here in the United States that had never been to Compton. They had never been to Carson. They had never been to Inglewood. I lived in Inglewood for 13 years, 14 years.
And they make it seem like Inglewood is bad. Man, until the movie The Wood came out, I always thought, man, that was gang infested, Inglewood, because off the long.
But I'm gonna tell you a story about that movie. I lived on the same street that the movie was shot. The production company came to my house. They left something in my mailbox that said, "We want to come and see your house to use it for this movie that's coming out." And I thought it was I said, this is a scam. So I went to the address, and it was a real production company that was coming to look at locations to shoot that movie. And they denied my house because guess what they said? Your house is too nice for what we're doing. Now, the house that they went to was nice as well. But I had the two-story joint, the music industry joint. You know what I'm saying? But they, that was the kind of neighborhood that I was, right down the street from the area that the shopping center and all that Magic Johnson owned, and all the stuff that he owned was right there. I mean, literally 3 minutes.
It was a mix of everything.
It was a mix of everything. It was a beautiful area. But if you tell somebody this is what the narrative is, people from Louisiana thought that Compton and Inglewood was just about what they saw in Boys and Hood. That was only a part of what was going on there.
And leading information to get you in there. But the music industry, did you think that helped you transition to deal with kids because on a music level?
Absolutely. I was, like I said, I was on the radio for a long time as well. I was doing radio when I first got out of college in Baton Rouge. And I ran Baton Rouge as far as the radio thing was concerned. I did radio in Miami. I did radio in L.A., and most of my listeners were young, so I started interacting then with young people, not knowing what that was my purpose, that it would go into an academic kind of educational piece. It did prepare me, and it made the transition a little bit easier, and I didn't notice it until years in. That this was actually what was going on, that there was a purpose to what I was doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So are you looking for the next young star right now?
I'm always on the look, man. I had one of my students in Miami. I was at the Job Corps in Miami, and they found out because in my office I have some platinum plaques on the wall, very discreet, 3 platinum plaques, one for Mary J., one for the Roots, and one for Mariah Carey, and you know they would come in and notice that sometime. But I left them up there because I wanted to tell them the story about be prepared for changes in your life.
Right.
Be prepared. I said that, you know, like I said, they want to know why are you here with us and not with the stars anymore.
Right.
But the preparation that it took for me to have the degrees and to have the skills that I had to be able to transition into that were phenomenal. And I had this kid in Miami. He found out, and he was good. He was a rapper. He was good. But guess what? Couldn't go to class. Didn't want to go to class. Didn't want to act right. Didn't want to do anything. And I had literally called some of my music industry friends and said, I got this kid. I want y'all to hear.
Right.
But I told him, I said, you know what? I said, this is your last straw. You can't go to class. You always in trouble. You can't do what you need to do. I am not going to waste my connections and my energy on you because you are not going to make it. You just can't stand in front of a mic and rap. You have to have a certain amount of discipline.
Yeah.
I told Nas, I said, man, I'm not messing with you no more. I said, you crazy, you fool, the Nas. I said, you won't show up for these things. I said, I'm trying to make you. I said, you've got Illmatic, which will in 20 years be deemed as one of the top hip hop artists or albums of all time. And it was 20 years later.
Sure enough.
Right.
But he wanted to stay drunk and high all the time, and he would come, yo, Ken, man, my bad, dog. I said, I don't want to hear it. I would handle him like that.
Right.
And he will see you today and say, yeah, man, Ken was hard on us.
Yeah.
He didn't play because it was still young people that were trying to do something.
Right. I heard you say Miami, Inglewood, New Orleans, that's in Texas, that's all big cities. I truly believe in traveling, broaden your perspective.
Oh, my gosh.
Your perspective on life. When you're talking around people that don't travel, it seem like you irritating them or whatever? When I'm around somebody that don't travel and go nowhere, it's like they like you you can't see things. And I always tell people, that's why I don't like to call a project anymore. I went to Jamaica. They actually stay with a 10 house. Even when we stayed in a project, we had AC.
Yeah.
So when I see people that never had AC ever, no cable, we had bootleg cable, and even if you had a fan in the winter, they don't have none of that.
Right.
Yeah.
We fish to put food in the freezer. You have a guy go out there and fish, catch 25 fish to put in the freezer.
Yeah.
When they fish
to eat.
that's to eat that night. So two different mindsets.
Yeah.
But I always say that's why when I told guys we don't stay in the hood no more, people got offended with me. I'm like, but traveling.
Yeah,
you don't travel.
And I beg my students to travel, and some of them are afraid to leave out of this city. They're afraid to leave this city because guess what? Their parents, the farthest their parents have gone is Houston. That's a trip to them. That's a destination to them. But I've lived all over the country, and I cannot tell you how important it is for you to see other cultures within the culture. And the culture in Nashville, that was one of my areas the culture in Nashville was different from the culture in Memphis, where I lived for a while. It was different from the culture definitely in New Orleans. So that exposure, you can't, it's invaluable. You can't buy that kind of exposure.
Yeah, I totally agree. So getting back to, before we move on to the next segment, I also want to know, what does Job Corps cover? What resources do they provide for the young people?
Well, you go into Job Corps. This Job Corps has 6 trades. It's got certified nursing assistant, clinical medical assistant, electrical carpentry, culinary, and office administration. So first of all, and the credentials that you get, the certifications that you get, are nationally recognized. If you go in at 21, 22 years old and you don't have a high school diploma, if you come in at 16, you don't have a high school diploma, We've got a high school diploma program. There is a high set or GED program as well.
Okay.
So everything that you need, and then there is a placement arm. So when you finish the program, we place you in a job and then follow you for a year to make sure that you're getting the promotions and getting the money that you should get.
Right.
We've got 22-year-olds that finish Job Corps that are working in, let's say, the electrical industry. There's one young lady right now. She's a beast, man. I think Diamond might be 22, 23. She's probably making $45, $50 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. And we got stories like that. There's a direct pipeline that we had to Ingalls a shipbuilder in Ponchatoula. Is that what it is? In Ponchatoula. They start these young people off at $26 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, you 18 years old.
Yeah, that's
make
life
$26
changing.
an hour.
That's life
better
changing
than,
for
that's
yeah.
better than my $5.15 at Popeyes. And what a good day at Job Corps consists of? You walking in the door. I've been there. You walk in the door. What is a good day? What did it look like?
Every day is different. A good day is when we have great attendance. First of all, if we go in and of the number of students that should be there, if we have 85, 90% of them there, that starts off a good day.
Yeah.
That period. Just being there, because if you think about it, most Job Corps around the country, there are only, I think, 3 non-residential where students don't live on center, and you know ours don't live on campus. The difference is between us and them is that when you wake up in the morning, you have to be somewhere for 8 o'clock. If you're living on center, you just have to walk from your dormitory to class, and there's a resident assistant there that wakes you up.
Right.
They make you go to breakfast. You eat breakfast. You go to class. But this way, you've got people that that are in unstable housing situations here.
Right.
Yeah.
That life, like young people say, life be life in them.
Right.
But they still got to come and try to get there.
Yeah.
You got people with transportation issues. You've got people with childcare issues. That the challenges of them just getting through the door.
Yeah.
If you can get them through the door, we can
That's a
train
good
them.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have to work. A lot of their parents count on them to take care of the household.
Yeah.
Literally, financially. I had one student that was working at Popeyes, and her mother and father didn't work. They took all her little Popeyes money to pay the bills and do whatever. But she was struggling trying to get through the program. So a good day starts with them just being
showing up.
Just show up.
Man,
Yeah.
what a amazing thing. We have this thing where it called "Do You Remember?" and I like to take you back down memory lane. I want to start this question first. When our brother Rick James was talking about Mary Jane, what exactly was he talking about?
Rick was talking about weed, man.
We was asked that question in the 6th grade, and I mean, we looking lost, like, what Mary Jane? And the brother Jay-Z said, "Do you listen to music or you just skim through it?" When he said that, before that teacher asked me that question, it was all about the hook. I ain't really pay attention to the words and all that.
Right.
So we listened to that song 1,000 times. Even in the movie Friday, they singing Mary Jane.
Right.
And it never dawned on you that he's talking about marijuana.
That's crazy, bro. I was 7 years old and I knew that.
In the 7th ward, y'all...
We advanced a little fast, huh?
In the 9th ward, they kept all that from us.
Okay.
They have a group, the Gap Band. Do you remember what the initials for the Gap Band stand for?
Oh, wow. And I'm a really date myself right now. I remember interviewing the Gap Band on the radio. Charlie and the whole crew. And I'm trying to remember I can't remember what Gap stands for. Oh, I used to know. I can't remember.
Green Orchard and Pines. The Tulsa, Oklahoma, with Black Wall Street is known there. That was the 3 main streets in that street. And the song "You Drop a Bomb on Me, Baby" is referring to when Tulsa, Oklahoma was bombed by the United States government. So they made a song and they named themselves the Gap Band after.
See, I just learned something new. I've been in the music industry for 700 years. And
So the song "You Dropped a Bomb on Me,"
Baby.
it really has a political thing to it, and they represent Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the
Black Wall Street.
Black Wall Street was.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Give me
good.
Last,
That's good.
but not least, this is a music question. Now you can get this one right here. I don't know the answer to this.
That's pressure, man.
Right.
That's
Michael
pressure.
Jackson, Chamona. What do that mean?
I mean, Michael was saying, and Michael, I was with Columbia Records. Michael was on Epic Records, and we were sister companies under the same roof in L.A. and New York.
Yeah.
But Chamon was just like, come on, you know.
Well, it's just a slang.
That was just a slang. Unless you got some other history. I mean,
No.
that's what we. And I used to see Mike at Epic is the reason why I brought that up. So. I'm calling myself an expert on that, but you about to break me.
No, I don't. I'm
That's what
actually
he's trying to do. That's what he's trying to do. That's what he's trying to do.
when we did the research and everything on there, Michael said it means nothing. But people are trying to. When I took it from Mike, Mike said it don't mean nothing. It's just something you came up with.
Well, it's just like Mama say, Mama sigh, Mama sigh.
I was about to ask you about that one. When he said Mama said, when he said that, most people, Mike said when they asked him about it in the interview, he said it mean nothing. But people trying to say he was saying, for the Mama say he was saying something different. But Mike said just
Yeah, I saw something.
Mike was on drugs?
Well,
I mean, hard drugs.
Hey, I mean,
to be coming up saying little crazy stuff that have no meat. Come on, bro.
no, Mike was a genius. I mean, that's all it was.
Yeah.
Mike was different.
But I'm gonna say this, and people don't realize that it was a blessing. He was the youngest brother. All right. Now imagine you with Motown on the road. Marvin Gaye got a girl, so you got to get out the run with Marvin Gaye. Stevie Wonder got a girl. Now you get to go from in a run with Stevie Wonder to Marvin Gaye. So he was always had to get out the run and go spend time. He spent time with the Supremes. He always was the one that had to get out the run.
Yeah.
Because
So
all
he
his
picked
brothers
up-
had girls.
He picked up talent from each one of them because you know why they on the road, they practicing or whatever, they got their downtime, and he was the one. If you go back and study, he had to go sit in the room with each one of them. So the greatness of Michael, you can look at that whole Motown roster and put it in a ball, and he was able to take from all of them. And
look at all of his dance moves inspired by James Brown.
Yeah.
If you look at the there's a Motown special on now. It's on one of the premium channels. I can't remember, but it talks about Hitsville, USA, and it shows him at 7 years old dancing at Motown as they were auditioning, and all his moves were with James Brown. Everything. So you look at all that.
Yeah,
I thought he created a lot of them, just like out of
even the
yeah,
moonwalk,
choreography.
he perfected most of them.
Yeah.
But even the moonwalk,
was
he
a
got the
hip-hop
moonwalk
group.
from a guy. Yeah, a guy got the moonwalk, and once Mike touch it,
Yeah.
It's over.
you know you great when your dressing style is different from everybody in the world.
Yeah.
Nobody dresses like that. But if you dress like that, they be like, that's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But man, we have you. How can people locate you and find you if they want to get in contact with you?
You can hit me on Instagram. I am Ken James. I_am_Ken James. You can hit me on Facebook. I never got a TikTok account. Because I get caught up a lot of times on Instagram, and you start looking at the reels, and next thing you know, 30 minutes pass. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going down.
Right. Right.
But if you'd like to get, hey, can I plug my
Of course
my
you can.
podcast?
Of course, talk to him.
Okay, I've got a jazz podcast. If you like jazz, it's called Jazz on the Rocks with a Twist of Soul. So it's jazzy and it's soulful. You've got instrumental, you've got vocals, but go to jazzontherocks.podbean, BEAN.com. Jazzontherocks.podbean.com. Beautiful if you're having a dinner party or you're just chilling or you love jazz, and of course I bring you through the whole cycle. It's a jazz almost radio show with no commercials, just jazz, just a vibe, and just me. So check it out.
You promise to come back, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We got another friend to the show. We about to take a quick commercial break from our sponsors.